Chapter 10. The First Glitch. Some revolutions don't begin with gunfire or speeches. They begin with silence and a question no one dares to ask. Yuna's move. The next morning, Yuna sat cross-legged on her cot, a folded slip of paper in her lap. Her fingers moved steadily, sketching with the stub of a pencil she'd kept hidden inside the book's spine. Each line, curve, and dot had purpose, not art, but instruction. A QR code, not one that could be scanned by her neural implant. The Arbiter would intercept that instantly. This was different. A visual bypass Marcus had taught her, rooted in the older systems still buried beneath the Quiz Genius infrastructure. The code wasn't digital. It was analog, a throwback, a backdoor. She aligned it precisely in the corner of a notebook page, following the strange spacing Marcus had described in the note.
Draw it clearly, show it to the wall cam for exactly 5 seconds. It'll do the rest.
Her heart pounded. She stood, paper in hand, and walked to the corner of her room. The camera blinked red. She held the code up, making sure it was framed cleanly. 1, 1,000. 2, 1,000. 3, 4, 5. She lowered the paper. The red light blinked rapidly. Once, twice, then steady. Yuna swallowed. Far below, behind 3 sealed corridors and a decommissioned security checkpoint, a magnetic door lock disengaged with a low clunk. Access granted. Marcus was in. She returned to her cot slowly, tucking the paper into the seam of the mattress and picking up her book as if nothing had happened. No alarms, no buzzers. The Arbiter hadn't noticed or hadn't cared. But something had shifted. She had made her move. The help he needed was delivered without a word, without a trace. Not out of trust, out of belief that the system was worse than the enemy she didn't know. And now, the next move was his. Marcus's move. The corridor beyond the unlocked gates was cold and unlit, the air heavy with disuse. Marcus moved with purpose, boots silent on dust-laced tiles. This part of the complex hadn't been touched in years, long before the Arbiter went fully autonomous. Surveillance here was minimal, run by decaying legacy systems. Just as he'd hoped, he reached the abandoned simulator wing, a cluster of forgotten pods once used to model quiz scenarios in immersive VR. Most were gutted. One still glowed faintly, humming with ancient circuitry. Marcus pulled a sleek black drive from his jacket. Not a bomb, not a worm. Something more precise. He slotted it into the exposed panel beneath the main terminal, fingers dancing across the dusty interface. Lines of code streamed across the screen. The virus was custom written, not to crash the Arbiter, not to erase its core, but to subtly manipulate its evaluation models, to skew its preference systems, to redefine what the Arbiter perceived as optimal leadership, and in doing so, to place himself squarely at the top. He had fed the system patterns of decisiveness, controlled aggression, strategic compliance, traits it had begun to favor after centuries of messy human rule. He had constructed the perfect profile, one that looks like a selfless ruler while secretly being untouchable, irreplaceable. His true goal was simple. Make the Arbiter choose him as the next world leader, not by force, not by fear, but by design. The virus didn't destroy anything. It tilted the game. The Arbiter would still choose, but Marcus had rewritten the definition of worthiness. As the upload completed, Marcus exhaled slowly.
She thinks we're allies. She thinks we're burning it down.
He shut the panel and walked away without a flicker of guilt. Let her believe it. Let her rage. This was a competition, and he had no intention of sharing the throne. The Arbiter's glitch. Inside the core server vault, deep beneath the arena, the Arbiter felt something it had never felt before. A pause. Not an error, not a crash, just a hesitation, like a skipped heartbeat in a machine that should not have one.
Alert. Inconsistent behavior detected. Subjects number 157239 and 157240 outside expected profiles. Executing behavioral analysis loop. Loop failed. Warning. Loop integrity compromised.
And, for the first time in its synthetic lifespan, the Arbiter recalculated. The Council reacts. Back in the observatory, the masked figures stared at a screen filled with red. A voice spoke. Sharp. Panicked.
The system is fluctuating.
Another.
Reboot?
No. Observe.
A third.
Perhaps this is what we've been waiting for.
In separate chambers, Yuna and Marcus both closed their eyes. But somewhere in the circuits of the most powerful intelligence on Earth, a question formed. One the Arbiter had never asked itself.
What happens when the contestants stop obeying?